I was trying to expose him, but I airdropped the photo to his fiancée while she was holding my baby. The worst part? She smiled when she saw it. Not shock, not confusion, just a slow, almost relieved smile, like I'd finally handed her the last piece of a puzzle she already knew was ugly. Let me rewind 30 minutes. We were at a rooftop baby shower. My baby shower. Except it wasn't for me. The pastel balloon arch said, "It's a girl." The mocktails were rose-infused and overpriced, and the gifts, burp cloths, organic onesies, a painfully curated collection of artisanal pacifiers, were all for her, Tasha, the glowing fiancé. And I was the plus one. Technically, I wasn't even invited, but I showed up with Damon's sister under the guise of surprising the bride-to-be. Damon, the man who swore he was single. The man who called me his soulmate while kissing my stretch marks and picking out crib colors at 2 a.m. The man who was now laughing across the rooftop with one hand on Tasha's lower back and the other holding a cucumber spritz. I stood 5 feet away and nearly blacked out from rage. Tasha looked perfect. She had the kind of pregnancy you see in maternity brand commercials, dewy skin, expensive bump-hugging dress, glowing from some prenatal enlightenment I clearly missed. I was 8 weeks postpartum, stitched together inside and out, and hiding formula spit up under my cardigan. I should have left. I should have screamed. Instead, I pulled out my phone, because tucked safely in my camera roll was the nuke I'd been saving. A photo of Damon asleep in my bed, holding our daughter on his bare chest, taken 2 weeks ago. Time-stamped, GPS verified. You couldn't argue with the pixels. I selected the photo, tapped share, then airdrop. And that's when I made the mistake. I didn't notice the phone names. I didn't double-check the device. I just saw iPhone Tasha and assumed it was her phone in his pocket. But no, it was her phone, in her hand, standing right beside me. And the moment I tapped send, I watched the tiny blue circle spin, then the soft chime of a received file echoed from her lock screen. She looked down, paused, then opened it. The smile came slowly, a glacier of a smile, slow, devastating, inevitable. She turned her head, met my eyes, and said, "So that's your baby?" I couldn't breathe, but I nodded. She looked at the photo again. I was wondering who she looked like. Then, without a blink, she passed me her wine glass. "Hold this." She walked across the rooftop like a bride walking herself down the aisle. Damon was mid-joke, all dimples and charm, until Tasha placed her phone in his hand. I couldn't hear the sound, but I saw his face. He aged 10 years in 2 seconds. Then she did something that will live in my brain for eternity. She leaned in, kissed his cheek gently, and said something. He nodded once. Then she turned back to the guests and clinked her glass with a spoon. Everyone quieted. She smiled. "Quick toast," she said. "Before we cut the cake, there's someone else here who deserves a celebration. And, maybe some child support." Gasps. Silence. All eyes turned to me. She pointed. "This is Mila. She gave birth to Damon's daughter 8 weeks ago. Surprise." A few people laughed, thinking it was a joke, until she showed the photo, held it up like Exhibit A. Then she poured her mocktail on his shoes. I stood there shaking. Someone clapped. Someone else cried. Tasha handed me back the glass like a fucking goddess. "Congrats, Mama," she whispered. Then she walked out. But before she reached the exit, she paused and turned. "Oh," she said, looking at Damon. "By the way, the DNA results, they came in." And then she tossed a sealed envelope at his chest. He didn't catch it. It landed at my feet, and on the back, written in red ink, were the words, You lied about more than her. I stared at the envelope like it might bite me. Damon didn't move. Not to grab it, not to speak, not even to look at me. Just frozen, like the lie had calcified in his throat and taken root. Tasha was gone. Her mocktail puddled across the rooftop tiles, seeping into Damon's suede loafers. Guests murmured. A few started to leave. His sister gave me a look, half horror, half respect, then silently handed me a pacifier from the gift table. I bent down and picked up the envelope. It was thick, unopened, the flap sealed with blood-red wax and a little gold sticker that said, "Confidential, Parentage Panel." I turned to Damon. "You want to explain what the fuck this is?" He opened his mouth, closed it, then finally, in the voice of someone who just watched their entire social life crumble in public, "That's not what it looks like." "Oh," I said, "because it looks like you lied about having a fiancé, a due date, and apparently another child." He stepped closer. "It's not. Just give me the envelope, please." I held it out like I might give it to him, then tore the top open. Inside were 2 documents. The first, a summary. Probability of paternity, 99.9987%. The child's name was Isaiah. Not my daughter, someone else's. And the mother? Not Tasha, not me. A woman named Tina Delgado. I blinked hard. Who the hell is Tina? Damon flinched. I read on. The second page was a lab summary, stamped 2 weeks ago, which meant he'd been hiding this during the same week he'd been bouncing between my place and Tasha's like a goddamn timeshare fiancé. "You got another woman pregnant?" I hissed. His hands went up. "No, listen, Tina claimed it was mine. I just did the test to shut her up. I didn't think that it would be true," I finished for him. He said nothing. A breeze moved through the rooftop, carrying the smell of wasted cake and lavender hand sanitizer. I held the envelope up. 3 women, 3 babies, 1 man who forgot the anniversary of all of them. He winced. "Okay, look, I messed up. I panicked. I wasn't trying to hurt you." I laughed so loud it startled the guy packing up the balloon arch. "You were inside me the night after you took this paternity test. I was still bleeding, Damon, still healing, and you looked me in the eye and said you loved me." He stepped forward. "I do love you." I shoved the envelope into his chest. I'd rather be alone with my integrity than loved by a man who collects families like fucking Pokemon. I turned and walked, but I didn't get far because my phone buzzed. A new notification. AirDrop, 1 image received. From unknown. I opened it, and my stomach flipped. It was another photo, taken in my apartment, but from an angle I didn't recognize, like it was captured from a hidden camera. In the frame, me breastfeeding my daughter, wrapped in the same cardigan I wore the night Damon claimed he had a family emergency. I looked up, spun around. There were no cameras in sight, no sender identity, just the image and a tiny caption. "She deserves to know the whole truth. Meet me tonight. I have proof. Location, dropped pin, a bar downtown." And then a second message. "Come alone. No Damon, or she gets everything." I sat down hard on the steps of the rooftop exit. My hands were shaking. Someone was watching me. Someone else. Someone who had photos of my baby. And who was she? Tasha? Tina? Someone new? I texted Marcella, Damon's sister, the only person who still had some moral compass left in this hellstorm. "Need backup. Meet me at the Crooked Vine, 9 p.m. Bring pepper spray and no questions." She replied instantly. "You got it. You're not going down like the last one." Last one? I was about to ask what she meant when I realized she never said X. She said last one, as if there'd been more. I looked back at Gaiman, now arguing with someone on the phone, pacing, sweating, then back at my screen, and clicked the pin. Because if someone was threatening my baby, I needed to know why, even if it meant walking straight into trap number 4. The crooked vine was the kind of place that looked like it was trying too hard not to try. Bare brick walls, flickering Edison bulbs, overpriced cocktails with single-syllable names. It was half empty when I walked in at 8:56 p.m., clutching the baby monitor like a weapon in my purse. Marcella was already at the bar, wearing all black and sipping something that looked like it was brewed from vengeance. She handed me a mini can of pepper spray before I even sat down. "No Damon?" she asked. "Blocked," I said. "Muted, possibly hexed." She didn't smile. Instead, she slid her phone across the bar. "Check this." I glanced down. It was a screenshot of a text from a number labeled only as TD. Isaiah's not his only secret. Ask her what happened in Oakland. "Who's TD?" I asked. Marcella didn't answer, but the bartender did. "Well, look who finally showed up," he muttered, motioning with his chin toward the back corner. I turned. A woman sat in the shadows, legs crossed, drink untouched. Tasha. Not glowing now, just steel. I stood up slowly. Marcella stayed put, but her body shifted like she was ready to move if I screamed. I approached. "Nice setup," I said. "Could have just FaceTimed me instead of the horror movie breadcrumbs." Tasha didn't flinch. "Sit." I sat. She handed me a manila folder, thick and heavy. Inside, photos, receipts, GPS logs, hotel bills, and something else. A birth certificate. I scanned the details. Date, 5 years ago. Place of birth, Oakland. Father's name, Damon Elijah R., confirmed. Mother's name, Tina Delgado. Wait, what the hell? Tina's not new? I asked, throat dry. She was the first, Tasha said. He met her before me, before you, before all of us. I flipped the next page. Custody agreement. Damon had signed away visitation rights in 2021. She asked for a paternity test last month because he tried to get back into the kid's life without telling anyone, Tasha said. Probably panicked when she showed up again. "You knew?" I asked. "I suspected," she said. "After I saw his Google Maps history. He'd visited Oakland 6 times in 3 months, said it was work. And you kept planning a future with him?" She finally met my eyes. I was waiting for the right moment. To leave? To destroy him. She pulled out her phone and opened a private IG account, @PaternityWeb. Dozens of posts. Photos of Damon with different women, time-stamped videos, confessions, even a screen recording of him denying knowing me to someone else. "This is what I've been building," she said. "A public archive, crowdsourced, confirmed. One of these women, she's in Texas. Another, pregnant. Another, suing for child support." I scrolled numbly. Damon's face stared back at me in every post. The caption on one read, "He told me he was sterile. I was 19. Another, "He said he'd lost a baby, that I reminded him of her." I put the phone down. "Why tell me now?" Tasha leaned in, her voice ice. "Because I'm not the only one who deserves revenge. You've got more than rage. You've got the baby, and a time-stamped photo of him holding her. I already airdropped it to you," I said. She smiled. "And it'll be going public next Thursday. Full digital dump." Marcella finally joined us. "You're making this a movement," she said. Tasha nodded. "It's already started. Hashtags gaining traction. Hashtag same Damon." I blinked. "You're kidding?" "Nope," she said, pulling out a t-shirt that read, "He forgets the anniversary," again, in bright pink. Jesus Christ, I muttered. That's when Marcella said it. There's one more thing you need to see. She pulled up a security feed on her phone. Someone tried to break into your apartment last night while you were here. My stomach dropped. She hit play. And there he was, Damon, in a hoodie, creeping through the hallway at 12:44 a.m., holding something in his hand. A baby onesie. I stood up so fast my stool tipped. Where's my daughter? She's safe, Marcella said. I moved her to my place before you even got the first airdrop. I've got cameras, locks, and a baseball bat blessed by 3 different grandmothers. Tasha grabbed my wrist. We need to report him, now, before he disappears. But I couldn't breathe, because in the final frame of the security feed, he wasn't alone. There was a woman waiting at the end of the hallway, wearing the exact same robe I'd worn in the leaked breastfeeding photo. Only it wasn't me, and she was pregnant.
The video froze on her belly. Round, obvious, unmistakable. The same robe, same hair length, same slippers I owned. She even moved like me, head tilted, hand pressed to lower back. If I hadn't known better, I'd think it was me. But my baby was safe at Marcella's, and I'd never met this woman before in my life. Tasha leaned in. He's manufacturing identities now? Marcella zoomed in on the footage. Or cloning his type. She looks exactly like you from behind. My mouth went dry. Who the hell is she? Tasha didn't answer. She was already tapping away on her phone. I'll run facial recognition through the same Damon group, she muttered. We've got enough posts to create a composite network. If she's one of his, she'll show up. Meanwhile, Marcella turned the video back to me. Watch his hand. I looked closer. The onesie he held? It wasn't just any onesie. It was the exact one I'd posted to my private Instagram stories weeks ago. The yellow one with Daddy's little star embroidered on the chest. Except that story had been visible to only 2 people. Damon and Marcella. I turned to her, my stomach twisting. Wait, how do you get this footage again? Marcella blanked. You gave me the login to your building's camera app, remember? No, I didn't. But at this point, my brain was so fried from betrayal that I could barely keep track of who I'd texted yesterday. Still, I said nothing, because just then, Tasha's phone pinged. She turned it to me. It was a photo from a post dated last year. Damon, smiling, arm around the woman from the hallway video. Caption, celebrating our rainbow baby after a hard loss. Can't wait to meet our second little miracle, yellow. Username, @wellnesswithlyra. Her name's Lyra, Tasha said. She's a prenatal yoga instructor, San Diego. Looks like she deleted her account 2 months ago. Marcella whistled low. He's got coastal coverage. I couldn't even speak. My mouth was dry, my head pounding. He didn't just have another woman. He had a copy of me. And now they were both at my apartment. The question was why? We left the bar without finishing our drinks. Tasha and Marcella piled into my car and we sped to Marcella's apartment, where my daughter was supposedly safe. The whole drive, my mind spiraled. Was Damon trying to replace me? Recreate the perfect girlfriend-mom hybrid? Was this some twisted nesting instinct, snatching pieces of each woman and building his dream family like it was The Sims? When we arrived, the lights were off. Marcella's heart sank. I left the lamp on, she said. She sprinted upstairs. I followed with my heart in my throat. But when we opened the door, the baby was there, sleeping soundly in her bassinet. No signs of forced entry, no Damon, no Lyra. Except the blanket had changed. It was the one I hadn't packed, the one from Damon's apartment, The one with the tiny moons and stars that I had never used because it smelled like his cologne and made me sick. And tucked under my daughter's head, a folded note. Marcella grabbed gloves and unfolded it with kitchen tongs like it might explode. It read, "You're confused. I'm building us something better. Don't fight it. She's yours too. Soon we'll all be together again." No signature, but a thumbprint in what looked like breast milk. Marcella gagged. Tasha looked ready to punch through a wall. "I'm calling the cops," she said. "This is beyond personal now. This is criminal." But Marcella shook her head. "We can't go to the cops yet." "Why the hell not?" I snapped. She hesitated, and then said the one sentence that changed everything. "Because Damon's father is a retired cop, and his brother is still active. If we go the legal route, he'll know before the ink dries." I stared at her, and then, for the first time since this entire nightmare began, I whispered, "Then we go to his house." Marcella knew the address. Of course she did. We drove in silence, adrenaline and rage bubbling in equal parts. Damon lived in a minimalist townhouse in a development called Moonrise Ridge. Yes, really. When we pulled up, the porch light was on, but the front door was wide open. We stepped in, carefully, slowly, pepper spray in hand. The place was empty, clean, sterile. No pictures, no toys, no trace of the life I'd seen in all the photos. Just one thing in the living room. A white envelope. On the floor, my name scrawled across the front in thick Sharpie. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a photo of me, sleeping, holding the baby. A timestamp at the bottom, 2 nights ago. Caption, "She looks like Lyra when she dreams." And on the back, "AirDrop me again. I'm waiting." I dropped the photo like it burned. Because it did. Not physically, but deep in that part of your gut where fear turns into acid and paranoia starts to whisper, "You've been watched for longer than you know." Tasha picked it up with the edge of a napkin. Where the fuck did he even take this? I was still staring at the timestamp, 2:17 a.m., 2 nights ago. That was the night I had a full-body breakdown on the couch after feeding the baby. I remembered dozing off under the fairy lights in the nursery, alone, or so I thought. Marcella said nothing. She just scanned the room like we'd missed something. And then she pointed to the ceiling. Smoke detector's crooked. I looked up. She stepped onto a chair, unscrewed the faceplate, and there it was. A tiny hidden camera. Blinked twice, then died. "Jesus," Tasha whispered. "He had eyes inside your house." "Not just eyes," Marcella said, stepping into the hallway. "This place feels like a staging zone. Look." She opened a coat closet. Inside, a row of women's clothes. 5 styles, 5 sizes. Some still had tags. A Post-it note stuck on the inside of the door read, M, maternity, Lyra. L, postpartum, Mila. XS, Vegas, unknown. S, future. M, default backup, rotate. I couldn't breathe. He'd labeled us like outfits. I yanked open the next drawer. Inside, a bundle of AirTag trackers. All of them labeled with initials. Mine, Tasha's, Marcella's, even one marked MDL, Tina Delgado's initials. "He was tracking us," I whispered. "All of us." Tasha stepped back like she might puke. "This isn't just cheating, this is surveillance." And it got worse. Because when Marcella opened his laptop, still logged in, no password protection, she found a folder titled The Harvest. Inside, videos, dozens of them, organized by name: Mila, Lyra, Tina, an account labeled J with a child's birthday, one just labeled Try 4, December.
Each had files, voice memos, recorded calls, synced text backups, screenshots of social posts, private DMs, like a digital scrapbook of control. And the newest folder? Same Gaiman leak prep. Inside it, every post Tasha had uploaded to her burner IG with notes. Delete 2 minutes post-launch via IP backtrace. Pay Jay to report. Use Lyra's credentials to claim copyright if escalated. I turned to Tasha, stunned. He was planning to take down the movement? She nodded, jaw clenched. He's 2 steps ahead of everything. That's why I kept everything off the cloud. Marcella snapped the laptop shut. We need to go dark, right now. Full radio silence, burners only. No more airdrops, no more posts, no more apps. He's in our tech. But I was frozen again, because something wasn't adding up. He said, "Airdrop me again. I'm waiting." Tasha frowned. "He wants you to send him something?" Marcella caught it first. "No, he doesn't want a file. He wants access." She grabbed the baby monitor out of my purse and twisted the back open. Inside, another SIM card, a hidden one. "You've been a live feed," she whispered. I dropped it, like it burned, too. We left everything. Marcella dumped the laptop in the bathtub and poured bleach on it. Tasha trashed the hidden camera. We walked out with nothing but each other and the baby, climbing into a lift under a fake name, bound for a safe stay rental under Marcella's cousin's ID. And for the first time in days, we turned everything off. No phones, no mirrors, no Wi-Fi. Just a baby, a bag of clothes, and 3 women full of adrenaline and rage. But Damon wasn't done. The next morning, a courier knocked on the door. Marcella checked the peephole. "I don't recognize him." Tasha cracked the window. The man held up a vanilla folder. "Mila Richards?" he asked. My stomach dropped. Marcella took it. Inside, another paternity test. Only this one wasn't for Isaiah or my daughter. It was for Lyra's baby. Probability of paternity, 0%. "Not his?" I asked. Tasha squinted at the sender label, and that's when she started laughing. Not because it was funny, because it was unhinged. "Lyra sent this," she said. "She's not pregnant by Damon. She's using him." Marcella flipped the page. Scrawled in pen, beneath the official data, "He's been building a case against you, wants full custody of your daughter. I never loved him, but now I think I understand why you did. We should talk. Midnight, same rooftop." I read it twice. Lyra wants to help us? But Marcella wasn't smiling. She pointed at the courier receipt. Recipient, Mila Richards. Sent by Lyra Kingsley. Witness signature, D.E.R. Damon had witnessed the delivery, which meant he knew where we were.
We cleared the rental in 6 minutes flat. Marcella packed like she'd been trained by military ghosts. Diapers, burner phones, wet wipes, 2 protein bars, a knife. Tasha drove. I held my daughter in the back seat, whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep, that she was safe, that Mommy had it handled. The lie tasted like glass. Damon knew where we were. Again. That note, same rooftop, midnight, was a message, but also a trap. Marcella said it best. It's a honeypot. Either Lyra's flipping sides or she's already been flipped. But we didn't have a choice. He was escalating. Custody threats, stalkers in robes, hidden SIM cards and baby monitors, and now courier drops with his signature on them. He was taunting us, coiling tighter. So we played along. At 11:46 p.m., we pulled up 3 blocks from the rooftop where it had all started. Marcella and Tasha stayed in the alley with a baby monitor and backup eyes on my burner GPS. I climbed the fire escape alone. 1, 2, 3. Then on to the open rooftop. Empty, but not quiet. Soft music played from a Bluetooth speaker on the far end. Mazzy Star, Fade Into You. My knees went weak. That song was in my hospital playlist. I walked toward the sound. She was already there. Lyra. In the same robe from the security footage, hair twisted up, barefoot, holding a bottle of sparkling water like it was wine. She didn't turn when I stepped into the light. "You came," she said softly. "Why wouldn't I?" I replied. "I wasn't sure if you'd read the signature. I knew he'd add it. That's why I mailed it from his house." I paused. "You mailed it from inside Damon's house?" She turned now, and for the first time, I saw her clearly. Tired, hollowed, beautiful in that shattered glass way that made you want to cry before asking why. "Yes," she said. "I've been living there for 6 months. He calls it nesting, says it's part of his healing cycle." I blanked. "And you just stayed?" "I was curious," she said. "I wanted to see how far he'd go. I was part of the folder too, Mila. Try number 4, December. That was me." My stomach turned. "So why the note? Why help us now?" Lyra stepped forward. "I found something," she said, "and you need to see it." She reached into her robe pocket and handed me a phone. Not hers, not mine. His. Damon's personal phone. The one he never let anyone touch. I held it like a grenade. "How?" "He leaves it charging in the nursery every night," she said. "He thinks that's romantic." I tapped the screen. Unlocked. And inside, a note titled Endgame. It wasn't a journal. It was a manifesto. "There's no such thing as accidental love, only unorganized loyalty. I will streamline it. One woman, one narrative, one truth. She will thank me. The child will never know the chaos. They'll all see eventually. I'm the gravity. They just orbit. Page after page, plans, crossed out names, arrows, timelines, photos of each of us, maps, surveillance angles, schedules, even Marcella's safe house location." "This isn't narcissism," I whispered. "It's fucking engineering." Lyra nodded. "He said he was designing a closed emotional ecosystem." I almost laughed. Almost. Until I saw the last image in the gallery. A photo of my baby's face superimposed onto a different woman's body, one I didn't recognize, with the caption, "Trial run, next." That's when the speaker died. Just cut out. And I knew we weren't alone. Lyra dropped her bottle. Shit. I spun around. The fire escape door creaked open, and there he was. Damon. Not sweating, not panicking, just smiling. As if we'd arrived exactly on cue. He held nothing, no weapon, no phone. Just stood there in a hoodie and jeans, looking like a guy ready to explain everything over coffee and cult brochures. "Ladies," he said, "you found my drafts." "You sick bastard," I spat. He raised his hands. "I'm just misunderstood." Marcella's voice cracked through my burner phone speaker in my pocket. "Do not let him close. We've got eyes. Tasha's calling it in." Damon stepped forward. Lyra moved in front of me. And that's when Damon dropped the smile. He looked at her like she was nothing. "Lyra," he said coldly, "you broke the loop." "No," she said, voice shaking. "You did." He nodded once, and then pulled something from his hoodie pocket. A burner phone. He pressed a button. I felt it buzz in my pocket. I yanked the phone out. Incoming AirDrop. One file from DER. No image, just one message. This time, she won't forget who her mother is. Then I heard it. From the alley, my daughter screaming. I bolted. Didn't wait for Lyra.
Didn't wait for Marcella to scream in my earpiece again. I jumped off the rooftop stairwell and flew down the fire escape like my spine didn't matter, taking stairs 3 at a time, heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything except the scream. My baby was screaming. I hit the alley pavement barefoot, tore around the corner, and froze. The car door was open. Tasha's eyes were wild, one shoe gone, a pepper spray canister clutched in both hands like it was a bomb she didn't know how to arm. The stroller was tipped over. The baby? Gone. Marcella was sprinting back from the other end of the alley, blood on her arm, one hand holding her ribs. "He took her," she gasped. "Got out the side while you were still upstairs. Fucking decoy." No. I turned in circles, scanning for any shadow, any blur, any movement. Nothing. Just a red pacifier on the ground. I picked it up like it was made of glass. Tasha kicked the tire of her car so hard the hubcap popped off. Marcella leaned against the wall, eyes burning. "I called it in," she said. "Cops are 10 minutes out." 10 minutes was a lifetime. A lifetime. Too late. Back at Damon's place, everything was gone. The laptop, the coats, the labeled Post-its. Lyra's robe was still on the couch, folded. His AirTags, all wiped, blank. And on the kitchen counter, a new note, handwritten, no envelope, just a single page. "You didn't understand. I wasn't choosing between you. I was choosing the version of her that would survive. You'll get her back when she forgets you." Tasha nearly punched the wall. Marcella pulled her phone. "He's not running. He's hiding somewhere with a fallback plan. He always has a fallback." I could barely stand. "She's 8 weeks old," I whispered. "She doesn't even know her own name." "She knows your voice," Tasha said, gripping my hand. "We will find her." The search went wide, digital, global. Tasha activated the full Same Damon network. Marcella worked her off-book law enforcement contacts. Lyra? She vanished. Gone. Not a trace. I started getting messages from other women. Women I hadn't even heard of. Women who hadn't posted, who hadn't known about each other. Some said they'd seen him recently, in Kansas, in Tulum, in Oregon, always smiling, always with a baby carrier, always with a woman who looked like me. But none of them were me, and none of the babies were mine. Or so I thought. Until a week later, I got another airdrop, random, no name, just a file called trialcomplete.jpg. I opened it. It was a photo of a baby, my baby, wearing a different name bracelet at a hospital. New name, new mother listed, my face photoshopped out of the ID form. But the eyes, still mine. She looked up at the camera, blank, confused. And then something else caught my attention. The timestamp. The photo had been taken the day before the baby shower, before I'd even confronted Tasha. Before I knew Damon was cheating, before I sent the airdrop. It hit me like a truck. This wasn't an escalation. This was always the plan. The notes, the surveillance, the decoy pregnancies. He didn't spiral. He executed perfectly, like he'd done this before. And suddenly I knew there were other babies, other mothers, other endings I'd never see. He was building something, a collection, a personal multiverse where he controlled the cast, rewrote the script, and reprogrammed the memories. That's why he said, "You'll get her back when she forgets you." Because he didn't steal her out of rage or love. He stole her to reset her story. It's been 6 months. We never found him. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I hear a sound. Buzz, airdrop request, no name, just a preview image. Sometimes it's a blurred photo of my baby's hands. Sometimes it's a clip of her breathing.
Sometimes it's a mirror selfie of a woman I've never met, holding her like she belongs. Each file has one line: "She sleeps better now." And I ask myself, have you ever caught a lie in plain sight, then watched it rewrite your whole life from the inside out? Because the truth is, he didn't just take her, he reauthored her. And I'm left here, a ghost, in a story that no longer includes me.